Still trying to get the thumbnail so it's not too crazy. Okay, sweet people, sweet squirrels. Let's see. I think I'm at the right spot. Let's hope so. Let me see. Oh, go away. Yes, 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 I'm at the right spot. As the great Bergman seldom praised his pupils, these words filled Nat's soul with pride and joy. And he worked yet more diligently than before to fulfill his master's prophecy. He but found room for more. I messed up. Prophecy. He thought the trip to England happiness enough, but found room for more when early in June, Franz and Emil paid him a flying visit, bringing all sorts of good news, kind wishes, and comfortable gifts for the lonely fellow who could have fallen on their necks and cried like a girl at seeing his old mates again. How glad he was to be found in his little room, busy at his proper work, not living like an idle gentleman on borrowed money. How proud he was to tell his plans, assure them that he had no debts, and receive their praises for his improvement in music, their respect for his economy and steadfastness in well-doing. How relieved when, having honestly confessed his shortcomings, they only laughed and owned that they also had known like experiences and were the wiser for them. He was to go to the wedding late in June and join his comrades in London. As best man, he could not refuse the new suit Franz insisted on ordering for him. And a check from home made about that time made him feel like a millionaire and a happy one, for this was accomplished by such kind letters full of delight in his success. He felt that he had earned it and waited for his joyful holiday with the impatience of a boy. Dan, meantime, was also counting the weeks till August when he would be free, but neither marriage bells nor festival music awaited him. No friends would greet him as he left the prison. No hopeful prospect lay before him. No happy homegoing was to be his. Yet his success was far greater than Nat's, though only God and one good man saw it. It was a hard-won battle, but he would never have to fight so terrible one again. For though enemies would still assail from within and from without, he found the little guidebook that Christian carried in his bosom. And love, penitence, and prayer, the three sweet sisters, had given him the armor which would keep him safe. He had not learned to wear it yet, and chafed against it, though he felt its value thanks to the faithful friend who stood by him all that bitter year. Soon he was to be free again, worn and scarred in the fray, but out among men in the blessed sun and air. When he thought of it, Dan felt as if he could not wait, but must burst that narrow cell and fly away as the caddis worms he used to watch by the brookside shed their stony coffins to climb the ferns and soar into the sky. Night after night he lulled himself to sleep with planning how, when he had seen Mary Mason according to his promise, he would steer straight for his old friends, the Indians, and in the wilderness hide his disgrace and heal his wounds. Working to save the many would atone for the sin of killing one, he thought, and the old free life would keep him safe from the temptations that beset him in cities. By and by, when I'm all right again and have something to tell that I'm not ashamed of, I'll go home, he said, with a quicker beat of the impetuous heart that longed to be there so intensely. He found it as hard to curb as one of his unbroken horses on the plains. Not yet. I must get over this first. They'd see and smell and feel the prison taint on me if I went now, and I couldn't look them in the face and hide the truth. I can't lose Ted's love, Mother Bear's confidence, and the respect of the girls, for they did respect my strength anyway. But now they wouldn't touch me. And poor Dan looked with a shudder at the brown fist he clenched involuntarily as he remembered what it had done since a certain little white hand had laid in it confidingly. I'll make 'em proud of me yet, but no one shall ever know of this awful year. I can wipe it out, I will, so help me God. And the clenched hand was held up as if to take a solemn oath that this lost year should yet be made good if resolution and repentance could work the miracle. That's the end of chapter 15. If I had known I was that, well, I think I got cut off. I can't remember. Chapter 16 is called In the Tennis Court. Athletic sports were in high favor at Plumfield, and the river where the old punt used to wobble about with a cargo of small boys or echo to the shrill screams of little girls trying to get lilies now was alive with boats of all kinds, from the slender Weary, Wherry, to the trim pleasure craft, gay with cushions, awnings, and fluttering pennons. Everyone rode, and the girls as well as the youths had their races and developed their muscles in the most scientific manner. The large level meadow near the old willow was now in the college playground, and here baseball battles raged with fury, varied by football, leaping, and kindred sports fitted to split the fingers, break the ribs, and strain the backs of the too ambitious participants. The gentler pastimes of the damsels were at a safe distance from this champ de mars. Croquet mallets clicked under the elms that fringed the field. Rackets rose and fell energetically in several tennis courts, and gates of different heights were handy to practice the graceful bound by which every girl expected to save her life some day when the mad bull, which was always coming but never seemed to arrive, should be bellowing at her heels. One of these tennis grounds was called Joe's Court, and here the little lady ruled like a queen, for she was fond of the game, and being bent on developing her small self to the highest degree of perfection, she was to be found at every leisure moment with some victim hard at it. On a certain pleasant Saturday afternoon, she'd been playing with Bess and beating her, for though more graceful, the princess was less active than her cousin, and cultivated her roses by quieter methods. "Oh dear, you are tired, and every blessed boy is at that stupid baseball match. What shall I do?" sighed Josie, pushing back the great red hat she wore and gazing sadly round for more worlds to conquer. "I'll play presently when I'm a little cooler, but it's dull work for me as I never win," answered Bess, fanning herself with a large leaf. Josie was about to sit down beside her on the rustic seat and wait when her quick eye saw afar off two manly forms arrayed in white flannel. Their blue legs seemed bearing them towards the battle going on in the distance, but they never reached the fray, for with a cry of joy Joe raced away to meet them, bent on securing this heaven-sent reinforcement. Both paused as she came flying up, and both raised their hats, but oh, the difference there was in the salutes. The stout youth pulled his off lazily and put it on again at once, as if glad to get the duty over. The slender being with the crimson tie lifted his with a graceful bend and held it aloft while he accosted the rosy, breathless maid, thus permitting her to see his raven locks, smoothly parted with one little curl upon the brow. Dolly prided himself upon that bow and practiced it before his glass, but did not bestow it upon all alike, regarding it as a work of art, fit only for the fairest and most favored of his female admirers, for he was a pretty youth and fancied himself an Adonis. Eager Josie evidently did not appreciate the honor he did for her, for with a nod she begged them both to come along and play tennis, not go and get all hot and dirty with the boys. These two adjectives won the day, for Stuffy was already warmer than he liked to be, and Dolly had on a new suit, which he decided to keep immaculate as long as possible, conscious that it was very becoming. "Charmed to oblige," answered the polite one with another bend. "You play, I'll rest," added the fat boy, yearning for repose and gentle converse with the princess in the cooling shade. "Well, you can comfort Bess, for I've beaten her to bits. I've beaten her all to bits, and she needs amusing. I know you've got something nice in your pocket, George. Give her some, and Dolphus can have her racket. Now then, fly around and driving her prey before her," Josie returned in triumph to the court. And I'll read a little more. Casting himself ponderously upon the bench, which creaked under his weight, Stuffy, as we will continue to call him, though no one else dared to use the old name now, promptly produced the box of confectionery, without which he never traveled far, and regaled Bess with candied violets and other dainties, while Dolly worked hard to hold his own against a most accomplished antagonist. He would have beaten her if an unlucky stumble, which produced an unsightly stain upon the knee of those new shorts, had not distracted his mind and made him careless. Much elated at her victory, Josie permitted him to rest, and offered ironical consolation for the mishap, which evidently weighed upon his mind. "Don't be an old Betty. It can be cleaned. You must have been a cat in some former state. You're so troubled about dirt, or a tailor, and lived for clothes." "Come now, don't hit a fellow when he's down," responded Dolly from the grass where he and Stuffy now lay to make room for both girls on the seat. One handkerchief was spread under him, and his elbow leaned upon another, while his eyes were sadly fixed upon the green and brown spot which afflicted him. "I like to be neat. Don't think it civil to cut about in old shoes and gray flannel shorts before our ladies. Our fellows are gentlemen and dress as such," he added, rather nettled at the word tailor, for he owned one of those two attractive persons, an uncomfortably big bill. "So are ours, but good clothes alone don't make a gentleman here. We require a good deal more," flashed Josie, in arms at once to defend her college. "You will hear of some of the men in old boots and gray flannel when you and your fine gentlemen are twiddling your ties and sending your hair in obscurity. I like old boots and wear them, and I hate dandies. Don't you, Bess?" "Not when they're kind to me and belong to our old set," answered Bess, with a nod of thanks to Dolly, who was carefully removing an inquisitive caterpillar from one of her little russet shoes. "I like a lady who is always polite and doesn't snap a man's head off if he has a mind of his own. Don't you, George?" asked Dolly, with his best smile for Bess and a Harvard stare of disapprobation for Josie. Probably said that wrong. A tranquil snore was Stuffy's sole reply, and a general laugh restored peace for the moment. But Josie loved to harass the lords of creation who asserted themselves too much, and bided her time for another attack till she had secured more tennis. She got another game, for Dolly was sworn a knight of dames, so he obeyed her call, leaving Bess to sketch George as he lay upon his back, his stout legs crossed, and his round red face partially eclipsed by his hat. Josie got beaten this time and came back rather cross, so she woke the peaceful sleeper by tickling his nose with a straw till he sneezed himself into a sitting posture and looked wrathfully about for that confounded fly. And I think I must stop right there. Well, go away. I hope you all have a wonderful Thursday, And I hope to see you tomorrow. Live at 5 on Friday. Be sweet. Don't be ugly. Love you. Bye-bye.